Golden Monkey suddenly stood rooted to the spot, staring intently at Yu's figure standing majestically amidst the dense smoke and dust. It was utterly surprised, eyes wide, clearly showing shock and disbelief on its face, and quietly murmured, "Master, so it's you. But why do you have the characteristic divine aura of the angel race?" Yu slowly turned his head. A chilling, dark aura emanated from him, causing the badger standing not far away to shiver and display high vigilance. In the very next second, the figure of the 16-winged holy imperial weapon suddenly appeared. He darted towards the badger and golden monkey, sticking out his long, crimson tongue and announcing loudly, "The reason is because I'm attached to his body." This appearance of Avon, 16-winged holy imperial weapon, startled golden monkey and the badger immensely. Both broke out in cold sweat, soaking their backs, and simultaneously screamed, crying out desperately, "Ah! Ah!" Golden Monkey and the badger were so scared their hair stood on end, yet they tried to look fierce and roared. They stammered a warning. You quickly leave our master's body." As he spoke, Golden Monkey pulled out his long staff and pointed it directly at the 16-winged holy imperial weapon, then shouted, "You wicked creature!" But just then, the figure of Shaoling appeared behind Golden Monkey and the badger and spoke loudly to reassure them. "Don't worry. The truth is, that's not some wicked creature." Hearing this, Golden Monkey and the badger turned around, puzzled, to stare at her. Meanwhile, Yu then gently called out, "Shaoling." Upon seeing the newcomer, both the badger and Golden Monkey exclaimed joyfully in unison, "Shaoling." Shaoling smiled calmly and said, "Respectful greetings, master. So it is you who has arrived." At this moment, the 16-winged holy imperial weapon radiated a brilliant golden light and stared intently at Shaoling. Golden Monkey couldn't contain his curiosity and asked, "Could this ugly thing really be the legendary imperial weapon?" Hearing this, the 16-winged holy imperial weapon, standing beside Yu, immediately shouted furiously, "Who are you calling ugly, you stinky monkey?" Yu felt somewhat speechless, so he reached out and pushed the 16-winged holy imperial weapon, who was about to rush forward to beat up Golden Monkey, to the side. He said in a deep voice, "All right, stop arguing." He turned his gaze towards Shaoling, who was standing not far away, and asked curiously, "Weren't you on Earth? Why did you rush over here?" Hearing this, Shaoling laughed and replied, "Reporting, master. I arrived here yesterday. The purpose was to inspect the construction." Yu slightly frowned, questioning the two words. Construction. A moment later, they appeared before a large, splendidly lacquered and gilded gate. Yu slowly looked up at the majestic gate before him and asked hesitantly, "This is—" Shaoling stood right behind him and smiled, replying, "This is the great gate of the monster race, confirming that this will be our base of operations from now on." They continued walking towards the majestic and imposing main hall. Shaoling then introduced it, pointing and saying it was the reception room. Suddenly, someone in the group couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, "It's huge! It's so big that the Emperor Crocodile could even live in here!" Afterward, the group followed Yu to tour other areas, and Shaoling's clear voice rang out, introducing the various rooms with different functions. Finally, the group collectively arrived at a certain area deep within the newly built structure. At this point, Shaoling quickly introduced it, enthusiastically stating that this was the flower garden, a place specifically for cultivating various spiritual herbs and fruits. Suddenly, Linghua and Jean Ban Dai unexpectedly appeared right at the door. Linghua spread her arms to block the entrance, determined not to let anyone enter. Yu looked down at her, frowned, and asked with a puzzled expression, "What are you doing?" Linghua was scared, her face pale, but she still managed to look fierce and resolutely shouted to stop them. "Master is not allowed to enter. Because every time, Master secretly takes all the spiritual herbs." Jean Ban Dai, standing next to her, also nodded in agreement, affirming, "That's right." Linghua exerted herself, trying to push Yu toward another direction, shooing him away. "You guys go somewhere else." Seeing this, Yu, feeling somewhat helpless, replied in a gentle, accommodating tone. Fine, fine. A moment later, Yuziyu appeared, sitting on the colossal throne specifically designed for him, while the group led by Shaoling stood below, looking up at him. A massive question mark appeared above Yuziyu's head. He frowned slightly, beads of sweat breaking out, and mumbled, "This throne seems a bit too wide." Golden Monkey, seeing Yuziyu's clueless expression, couldn't help but clutch its belly and burst into laughter, roaring with amusement. "Ha ha, Master looks like an idiot!" As soon as the teasing words were finished, a cold light immediately flashed in Yuziyu's eyes. Instantly, several massive tree roots enveloped his entire body. Yuziyu calmly controlled the large, gnarled roots to shoot out in one direction. He used the roots to tightly grasp the group of exotic beasts who dared to mock him, making them scream in fear. Piteous cries echoed. "Aya!" Yuziyu had now transformed into a new shape. His entire body became much larger and more formidable. Shaoling looked up at him and smiled. At this moment, Yuziyu's entire being exuded an extraordinary aura, and his massive, imposing figure fit perfectly on the enormous throne. Yuziyu spoke calmly. "This size is acceptable." Shaoling smiled slightly again. "Ha!" As for the unlucky exotic beasts wrapped up by Yuziyu's roots, he gave them a roller coaster ride that left them dizzy and sprawled on the floor. But just then, a pitch-black spatial crack suddenly appeared right in front of Yuziyu. From within the crack, the figure of Ai Wei, with her black angel wings, slowly flew out. Golden Monkey, who had just been released, immediately raised its vigilance and shouted loudly, "Warning! Enemy!" But Shaoling, standing beside it, quickly covered its mouth and reminded it. "Calm down." Yuziyu spoke with authority to introduce her. "This is the first time you've all met, isn't it? She is Ai Wei, a fallen angel." Golden Monkey frowned upon hearing this, cold sweat dripping from its head. Its voice trembled slightly as it stammered the two words. "Angel." Ai Wei maintained a cold, emotionless expression and continued, "Reporting to Master regarding the previous operation. The strength of the Void powerhouses suffered a loss of 60%, including over 30 level 5 powerhouses who died." Yuziyu silently stroked his chin, calculating in his mind. After all, since they are a powerful peak force like the Sky Race, such heavy losses are understandable. Ai Wei still stood before him, maintaining an extremely serious expression as she continued. As for the Treant race, the loss was only about 10 to 20%. 5 level 5 ice spirit Treants perished, while the majority of the remaining Treants were heavily injured. She suddenly recalled the other Treants and detailed. Among them, several level 5 Treants who fortunately survived currently show signs of imminent breakthrough. Yuziyu slightly narrowed his eyes and deduced. The surviving Treants have devoured too many life forms. The amount of essence of flesh and blood is currently overflowing in their bodies. That is the reason they are showing signs of breakthrough. If we talk about devouring to level up, the Treant race is even more ferocious and brutal than the Void race. He thought of the prospect of those rapidly evolving Treants and continued, "I fear that if this continues, the Treant race will become increasingly terrifying." Yuziyu fell silent, deep in thought, then gave an order. "You all may withdraw for now." Upon hearing this, the group led by Shaoling standing below immediately replied respectfully and clearly in unison. "Yes." Just then, the familiar, non-displaying notification screen of the system suddenly appeared floating before him. Yuziyu casually glanced at it. But suddenly, a look of surprise appeared on his face, and he exclaimed, "Oh, over 100 billion evolution points." Currently, the screen displayed only that colossal, massive number. Yuziyu narrowed his eyes, nodding and mumbling. Indeed, participating in warfare is the fastest way to earn evolution points. He put on a serious expression and muttered, "I remember I didn't have this before, but why is my entire body now wrapped in a red aura? This is a sign of ill omen." Yuziyu slowly raised his hand, the blazing golden spiritual energy wrapped around his arm, and sighed. "Karma wrapping around the body truly is a disaster, not a blessing. I will certainly have to pay a heavy price during the tribulation." His demeanor gradually became solemn, because what cultivators feared most was the great calamity. He worried that if he didn't cleanse this karma, when Yuziyu ascends to rank 7, this calamity might perhaps drown him. The 16-winged holy imperial weapon, standing beside him, suddenly suggested, "You should go find the azure race." He thought of the image of the blazing red lotus flower and continued, "I heard that the pure world red lotus can eradicate all karma in the world." When he sensed the terrifying pressure radiating from Yuziyu, the 16-winged holy imperial weapon instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Avon, slightly flustered, hastily explained and excused himself. "I didn't deliberately try to read your thoughts." Yuziyu glanced at Avon. Curious, he asked, "What is this pure world red lotus you speak of that can eliminate karma?" The 16-winged holy imperial weapon quickly replied and explained. "It is a marvelous artifact. Although not an imperial weapon, it is even stronger than the legendary imperial weapons." When he thought of the power of that blazing red lotus, the 16-winged holy imperial weapon enthusiastically continued, "This red lotus is a supreme treasure that can absorb karma as nourishment. Its ability to eliminate karma is indeed overwhelmingly unmatched, worthy of being called an unparalleled artifact between heaven and earth." This is the end of the video. Catch the next chapters on the Kapper-sama YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to support me. Thank you all very much.